So, right, let's get to the story. So, one of the big points of this show, missions of this show, is to inform people of how we got Trump, okay? So now Nancy Pelosi was completely dismissive of the Progressive Caucus in the Congress on 60 Minutes. And I just want to just tell you that that's how we got Donald Trump. How do we get Donald Trump? Is because the Democratic Party stopped representing the working class, and they got in bed with Wall Street, the military-industrial complex, and Big Pharma and the health. They got in bed with the people that own the Republican Party. So now we have one party, it's the money party, and it's got two right wings. And that's why we got Donald Trump, because people have been hurting. You know, back in the early 90s, Bill Clinton said he was going to give everybody health care. He didn't. It didn't happen. But we've been knowing this was a problem since since the 80s in the United States. And we still don't have Medicare for all. Here we are, 2019. So like 30 years later, we still don't have it. And why don't we have it? Because when we elect people who we think are lefties, when we elect people who say they're going to give us Medicare for all, when they say they're going to end the wars, when they say they're going to break up the banks, when they say they're going to protect Main Street, when they say they're going to bring us a living wage, when they say they're going to regulate Wall Street, this is what we actually get. This is what we get. We get another Republican.
My policies are so mainstream that, you know, if I had said the same policies that I have back in the 1980s, I'd be considered a moderate Republican. I mean, yeah.
So the people have been screaming for a lefty government since Ronald Reagan, and we haven't gotten one. We got two Republicans dressed as Democrats. We got Bill Clinton, who privatized prisons, exploded the prison population, deregulated Wall Street that led to the economic crash. He passed NAFTA, cut the legs out from underneath the unions. He gutted welfare. He did things that Ronald Reagan could only dream about doing because he was a Republican and he gave the corporate Democrats cover. And then we get 8 years of George Bush and people revolt. We elect a black guy with a Muslim name and he governs like Mitt Romney anyway. We would have got his health care plan anyway, no matter if we voted for him or Mitt Romney. And so that's the problem. So now people like AOC and Ro Khanna and Bernie Sanders realize that there's a crisis. There's a crisis, and that we need a revolution. And so they go. That's how they campaign, and then we vote for them, and then they go and they back the problem. Now, I was saying this at the time. They're like, well, Jimmy, if we don't have Nancy Pelosi, we'll get an even more a speaker even further to the right. I'm saying don't do it. You got to extract. Remember that? And people made videos wagging their finger at me because I said you can't do this. You can't back this as a progressive. You can't back the problem. You have to extract something from them. And the progressives didn't extract anything. They said they got committee assignments. So that's what they said. In return for more power, they're going to get some plum committee assignments. And you know who decides if those committee bills get voted on? Nancy Pelosi. So it doesn't matter. So here is from Movement for a People's Party. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorses. So this is what happened. They wrote this when this happened. And they say, this is how Democrats have controlled and contained a progressive movement for decades. The party blocks most progressives with rigged primaries and then forces the few who get elected to capitulate to its corporate agenda. Endorsing everything that is wrong with the Democratic Party undermines your moral authority and grassroots support, which in turn makes elected progressives more dependent on the party machine. And Representative Jayapal, this is what she said about Nancy Pelosi when she endorsed her for speaker. She said, no one can really doubt Pelosi's progressive chops. And I do think for the next 2 years, as we lead into 2020 and are coming off this big wave, the big blue wave, we need someone who is smart and strategic and has done this. Nancy Pelosi knows how to lose to Donald Trump. Nancy Pelosi knows how to get wiped out at every level of government. That's what Nancy Pelosi knows how to do. And what do they get for this? What does Representative Jayapal get for this? What does AOC get for this? What do they get? This is what they got. Here's Nancy Pelosi. Here's Nancy Pelosi on 60 Minutes yesterday.
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
It's like 5 people.
No, it's...
I'm going to play that for you again.
Yes.
I'll play it for you again. And the levels are correct with the audio output, right? Because it's a little loud in the room, which I don't mind. I just want to make sure it's not too loud on the live stream. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't see anybody say anything.
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
It's like 5 people.
Get the fuck out of here. It's like 5 people. Who cares? Progressives, who cares? We're not stopping. What? No, it's like 5. Who cares? We don't even... We do exactly what we want. No Medicare for all, no living wage, no stopping the wars, no regulating the banks, and yes to TPP. That's what Nancy Pelosi says. I give it. This is your leader in the 2020? This is your leader?
No, it's the progressive group. It's more than 5.
I'm a progressive, yeah.
Oh.
So now when Bernie says he's a progressive and independents hear her say she's a progressive, they're going to go, oh, Bernie's just like Nancy Pelosi? No, people don't realize Bernie's running against her. That's what people who aren't in the Democratic Party don't realize. What did this get them? So what this does is this props them up. What this does when they go out and this props up Nancy Pelosi. They shouldn't have done this. And so now Nancy Pelosi uses that oomph that you gave her, all that political juice you gave her by doing this cover with her on Rolling Stone and lending her your progressive credibility. Now she uses that to squash you. So you pumped her up, and now she uses that pumping up to squash you. So I was right about this. And this is what Waleed Shahid said. He said, that's quite a way to welcome the new generation of mostly progressive women of color entering the Democratic Party who are actively young people of color, and working class voters of all backgrounds. So you want to hear how progressive she is? Here's what Nancy Pelosi has to say about progressive. So again, remember, the reason why we got Donald Trump is because both parties are Republican and people are hurting and they don't offer them anything. So people got desperate and voted for an orange clown, businessman, billionaire who has no interest in helping them. But at least he gave them lip service. The Democrats won't even do that. Remember Hillary Clinton? Medicare for all will never come to pass. You're not getting it. Vote for me. Watch her do the same thing.
Are contending with a group in Congress. Over here on the left flank are these self-described socialists. On the right, these moderates. And you yourself said that...
First of all, they're not socialists. They're self-described democratic socialists. Do you understand that there's a big difference? Of course, she doesn't understand it. That's why she's a reporter for CBS News. The difference between a socialist and a democratic socialist are huge. An actual socialist wants the government to control the economy. A democratic socialist just wants health care and a nice welfare state, a social safety net for people. That's what a democratic socialist is. Health care, education, prenatal care. That's clean water. This is what a democratic socialist is, as opposed to a socialist who says the central government should plan the economy. Am I wrong about this? This is what...
Jimmy, really quick question. Do we have any socialist programs in our country?
Yes, we have lots of them.
Really? Come on.
Well, Social Security is a socialist program. Medicare is a socialist program. By the way, Medicare is the most popular health insurance program in the country. And it's the socialist one. So let's listen to what she says again.
Are contending with a group in Congress. Over here on the left flank are these self-described socialists. On the right, these moderates. And you yourself said that you're the only one who can unify everybody. And the question is, can you?
By and large, whatever orientation they came to Congress with, they know that we have to hold the center, that we have to go down the mainstream.
They know that?
What?
First of all, we have to go down the mainstream, which you get to by taking a right-hand turn at Donor's Alley. Go to Donor's Alley, take a hard right-hand turn to your right, you're going to be in the mainstream. We have to hold the center. We have to hold the mainstream. Nancy Pelosi, by the way, Nancy Pelosi is considered a progressive in the same world where she's able to unite the party, and that world would be in her brain. So she says we got to go down. We have to hold the center and go down the mainstream. Come sail down the mainstream where everyone having health care is just a dream. That's the mainstream. No wonder billionaires feel at home in the Democratic Party. Am I right?
You're right.
The only thing Nancy Pelosi can unite are banks. So she says you got to go down, you got to hold the center. So what that's called is that they're status quoies. They're being reactionaries, and they're saying that a return to the status quo is what we really need. No. The status quo is what gave us Donald Trump, and that's what corporatists don't understand. And that's what people who tell me on Twitter, well, I'll vote for Bernie, but if he doesn't win, then I'm going to vote for whoever the corporatist is who's going to screw us again. Oh, you mean that thing you've been doing your whole life that got you Donald Trump? Yeah, I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to call it adult. You idiots. Here is what she's saying is not mainstream. This is what Nancy Pelosi is saying is not mainstream. So there you have Medicare for all, 70% of the country on board for Medicare for all. That is super mainstream. Nancy Pelosi will lie to you and deny you health care just like Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell. Why? Because she's corrupt. Nancy Pelosi is corrupt. She's corrupt like Donald Trump. She's corrupt like Mitch McConnell. She's corrupt like John Boehner and Paul Ryan. Nancy Pelosi's corrupt, and she's the one who's keeping health care from you. She's the one who's keeping the wars going. She's the one who didn't prosecute the torturers. She's the one who's keeping you from a living wage. She is the one who won't break up the banks. Nancy Pelosi is your enemy. She's not your friend. She's a right-winger. That's going to freak some people out. Nancy Pelosi is a right-winger. She's not for any of this shit. That makes her a right-winger. She's cool with Trump's criticism of Ilhan Omar. She's cool with Trump going into Venezuela. She's cool with Trump denying us Medicare for all. Nancy Pelosi is an enemy of yours. She's only a friend of the donors. And the Progressive Caucus, which has 100 members in it, supported Nancy Pelosi. And she just went, it's like 5 people. It's like 5 people in every fucking voter in the country, and 70% of the voters. That's like 5 people and 70% of the voters. So when they tell people like Ilhan Omar and AOC and Ro Khanna that they have to compromise, they're not saying they have to compromise with people who represent voters. They have to compromise with people who represent donors. That's who they don't know, because the people want it. Who do I have to negotiate with in America? What voting bloc do I have to negotiate with to get 70% of us that agree already on single payer? I don't have to negotiate with anybody. We're all for it. Oh, I have to negotiate with the owner class, which owns Nancy Pelosi. So she's just full of shit. She's a liar, and she's corrupt to the core, Nancy Pelosi, and she's your enemy. She's the face of evil who's keeping you from health care. And she's lucky she has a guy like Donald Trump who she can demonize and use as a tool to beat you over the head with, so you'll keep voting for corrupt pieces of it like her. So I just want to remind people, while he also posted this, it's a video of CNN just a couple of weeks ago. They had on the Democrats. These are real life Democrats, and they were interviewing them. And most of them were supporting at the time some version of a corporate Democrat, but there was only 2 people in this group that were considered to be themselves big progressive. They supported AOC or Bernie. Just 2 of these people in this group, and I want to watch you. I want you to watch. I want to show you, and I want you to watch their reaction to when she asks these regular Democrats, most of whom aren't progressives, how they react to the mention of AOC. Here we go.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, your thoughts? She's badass.
Oh my God.
Yay! I love her.
Wow.
What a woman.
Amazing. And
Again,
yes. I mean, she's asking the right questions. I don't feel like she's playing games. I'm so excited about her. She is smart, she is intelligent, and I cannot wait to see what else she does.
Well, I know she's got the Democratic Party nervous, and I mean, in a way, they should be nervous because she does represent the new guard, the new generation. I think she really kind of personifies where we expected things to go down the line.
She is the candidate of the future. She has got this down pat, and she has also nailed it. And as a woman in a male-dominated field, this is how women in the male-dominated fields, we have to work like this all the time. She is the candidate of the future. Get ready for her because she's coming.
Only 2 of those people considered themselves progressives. The rest of them were mainstream. And you see how they reacted? Every one of them was. Do you see how? Oh my God! Oh no! That's called. I want to get off my ass and I want to go vote for somebody. Which is not, that doesn't happen for Joe Biden. That doesn't happen for Hillary Clinton. That doesn't happen for Kamala Harris. That doesn't happen for Cory Booker. You know what it happens for? People who actually speak about stuff that people want. And we know we can have. Again, this is what they want. This is what people want.
Contending.
This is what people want. This is what everybody else gets to have in other countries. Except the richest country in the world, because we have corrupt pieces of it, like Nancy Pelosi as our leaders, and then other people who consider themselves left wag their finger at you to say you have to support Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's my enemy, and I'll never support her. And I'm never going to vote for a Democrat who supports Nancy Pelosi. It's not going to happen. Get someone else. If you need my vote, get someone else. If you don't, good luck.
Nancy Pelosi has been a leader in politics in
my
the
entire life.
Yeah, in the state of California. And that almost explains why I don't have better health care in the state of California. Yes. Is because of these elected officials that are supposedly Democrat. And, I see every so often on the chat for the past 3 weeks that people are going, stop calling them Democrats. Stop saying they're neoliberals. Call them what they are. I think we do call them what they are.
I think yes. I just want to also show you. So let's just go down this really quickly. Let's go down this list of stuff that she is saying is not mainstream. This is what Nancy Pelosi, they want you to believe. Medicare for all is only not mainstream in Washington, D.C. and inside cable news green rooms. That's the only place it's not mainstream, because if you go to Americans, Republicans are for Medicare for all, Democrats and independents. 70% of Americans are for Medicare for all. 63% are for a $15 minimum wage. 60% of Americans are for tuition-free college. 81% support a Green New Deal. 59%, almost 6 out of 10 Americans support a 70% top marginal tax rate. This is mainstream stuff, baby. This is the majority of American stuff. And Nancy Pelosi is your enemy just like Trump is your enemy. Nancy Pelosi is your enemy just like Trump is your enemy. And if you fucking vote for Nancy Pelosi, you're a chump. Because she's the one who's keeping you from this stuff. The Democrats are what's called controlled opposition. And you see what happened? You see how they got Nancy Pelosi? Do you see how they got Representative AOC, Pramila Jayapal? Everybody supported her. Nancy Pelosi for speaker. And then what is the point? 72% of Americans support expanding Social Security. 72% of Americans support expanding Social Security. So this goes to show you we live in an oligarchy. Your democracy has already been stolen from you. This idea that Russia somehow hacked our democracy has been hacked by Wall Street, big oil, and big pharma. That's who hacked our democracy. Johnson & Johnson and Boeing and Goldman Sachs. That's who hacked our democracy. We don't have a democracy, because if we did, we'd have this shit a long time ago. But we don't have this. Why? Because we don't have a democracy, and voting doesn't matter right now. And if you don't think these people are getting ready to cheat you again, you're wrong. They're already cheating us right now. I mean Democrats. And I mean Republicans. Republicans don't have super delegates and rig their primaries. You know who does? Democrats. And if you're one of the people who think that Bernie lost fair and square, you're probably super dumb and went to, I don't know, you probably went to an Ivy League school to get your journalism degree. If you think Bernie lost fair and square and you don't know that he was the victim of the biggest election fraud in the history of our country, if you, with a straight face, could look into a TV camera and say Bernie lost fair and square like you're a grown-up, I'm guessing you went to Columbia School of Journalism. And you probably pushed a conspiracy theory for 3 fucking years. So this is what people want. And this is how you get Trump. When you deny this to people, that's how you get Trump. Because if people's lives were going great, they wouldn't have voted for fucking Donald Trump. And how do I know that? Because I talked to people in Virginia. I talked to coal miners. I talked to cooks at Waffle Houses. That's how I know it. How do you know it? You talked to anybody in a TV green room lately who can give you the insight onto voting habits of people who work in coal mines? So that's what, let's keep going. 62% of Americans want to legalize marijuana. 65% want to reform our incarceration system. 63% want same-sex marriage freedom. 69%, that's 7 out of 10, want to keep Roe versus Wade. 75% think immigration is good. 75% of Americans think immigration is good. 83% want net neutrality. 61% want to help stop climate change. 77% want campaign finance reform, which is not what the Democrats want. Oh, we want to get rid of Citizens United. Almost 6 out of 10 Americans want to break up the big banks. You know, like that. If that number was like 33%, 33%, you go, wow, that's kind of a fringe idea. But guess what? It's the right idea. So let's push it, and we'll change people's minds. It's already at 6 out of 10, and the Democrats, no. We already have a super majority. No. Tax the rich more. 76% are tax. 64% want a guaranteed jobs program. 76 want taxing the rich. 67 taxing big corporations more. And almost 9 out of 10 Americans want to use the military only as a last resort. Nancy Pelosi would say that that's kooky, crazy, lefty, and only 5 people want that stuff. And I want to know why the Progressive Caucus votes for Nancy Pelosi. I want to know what the fuck is your strategy. Your strategy is to lose and be marginalized. That's what that strategy is. You extracted jack shit out of Nancy Pelosi for your vote. Nothing. You know who got stuff out of her? The conservatives in Congress. They got a lot out of her. In fact, the Congress got a little more conservative when Nancy Pelosi became the speaker. They moved a little bit to the right. Woo. And Nancy Pelosi is not a progressive. That's her trying to poison that word, and she's doing it. Okay. Oh, God. All right. So, again, I would like to understand. I would like to know what the progressive strategy is when you vote for Nancy Pelosi and you don't run someone to her left. You don't run someone to her left. They didn't run anybody to Nancy's left. They didn't even threaten to. And then they come out and say that bullshit. They say this. This is really what you say? No one can really doubt Pelosi's progressive chops? Why do you got to say shit like that? You know what undermines you? You know you're fucking tying your own noose around your own neck when you do that? Would you say, and I do think for the next 2 years as we lead into 2020 and are coming off this big blue wave, we need someone who is smart and strategic and has done this. That's just what you need, Nancy Pelosi? So this is why it's super tough to say I'm going to be a revolutionary and I'm going to run inside a counter-revolutionary party. I don't doubt Representative Jayapal's intentions. I just doubt the strategy. I don't doubt her heart. I don't doubt any of the progressives' hearts. I doubt their stupid strategy. That's what I'm talking about. Extracted jack shit from Nancy Pelosi for your support for her as speaker, and now she's sticking it right in you. Okay.
Somebody from our chat mentioned, and it went by really quickly, and I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, but they said, do you remember when Bernie said Pelosi's doing a great job in 2018? I don't remember that.
No, I don't remember that.
But I don't even want to look it up.
But if I did, I probably blocked it out. Hey, I get that people are flawed. I get that Bernie's not perfect, and I get all this. I get people are people, and people have flaws. But we're in a crisis. We're in crisis mode. The planet's in a crisis. The country's in a crisis. Students are in a crisis. Old people are in crisis. Workers, we got tent cities. Veterans are in crisis. It's time to do some shit. It's time to do something and shake it up. Quit voting for this goddamn Democratic Party already. Put the fear again. Does Nancy Pelosi look like she's afraid of you? Does she look like she's afraid of Donald Trump being president again? Because she is not. Nancy Pelosi loves having Donald Trump as president. She would much rather have Donald Trump as president than Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard. That's for goddamn sure. Every Democrat, just about, would rather have Donald Trump as president. Chuck Schumer certainly would. The leadership of the Democrats, Steny Hoyer, all of them, they would all rather have Donald Trump as president. And if you don't think that, you're a chump. Next live Jimmy Dore show is June 5th. That's a Wednesday at Hermosa Beach Comedy Club in Hermosa Beach, California. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all tickets. We might be coming to your town. And if you love the show, please become a patron. Please support the show. We give you hours of bonus material every week. And please click that bell and make sure you're subscribed. Even if you think you are already subscribed, they unsubscribe people every day. Just check. Thanks for your support.